The email landed in my inbox like a punch to the gut. The subject line was innocuous, regarding our recent meeting, but the sender's name, Sarah, and the attachment, a single blurry photo, made my blood run cold. It was him, my husband. And she wasn't just a colleague. She was the woman I'd met at a company party 6 months ago, the one who'd laughed a little too long at his jokes. The image showed them, their hands tangled together under a restaurant table, his familiar wedding ring glinting like a mocking star. That one picture didn't just tell me he was cheating. It detonated the life I thought I had built. My world wasn't just crumbling. It was already dust. I stared at the screen, the pixels blurring into a kaleidoscope of pain. It wasn't the shock that hit me first. It was the sickening, creeping validation of 100 tiny fears I'd been pushing down for months. The late nights at the office, the phone calls he took in the other room, the way he'd started to flinch when I touched his arm. I'd told myself it was work stress, a new project, anything but this. But now the truth was a physical weight in my chest, a shard of ice pressing against my heart. I remember standing in the kitchen just this morning, making his coffee, the familiar rhythm of our life a comforting hum. He'd kissed me on the forehead, his lips dry and fleeting. "Long day ahead," he'd murmured, grabbing his briefcase. I smiled, oblivious, and waved him goodbye. The domestic scene, so mundane, now felt like a cruel play I had been a fool to participate in. A play where I was the only actor who didn't know the script. The conflict wasn't just between us anymore. It was a civil war within me. There was the part of me, the old me, the wife, who wanted to scream, to break every plate in the kitchen, to demand answers. And there was a new part, a cold, calculating stranger who simply wanted to know why. Why her? Why now? What had I missed? I scrolled back through my memory, a frantic, desperate search for the beginning of the end. It wasn't a sudden event. It was a slow erosion. We'd met in college, 2 kids with big dreams and a shared love for bad movies and cheap takeout. Our life had been a series of building blocks, a cramped first apartment, the excitement of our first home, the joy of bringing our daughter Lily home from the hospital. We had built a fortress of a life, brick by brick, and now I saw the cracks I'd been plastering over for years. I remember a conversation from a year ago. We were sitting on the couch after Lily was asleep. He was scrolling on his phone, and I was trying to talk about our future, about taking a trip, about us. "Babe," he said without looking up, "can we just relax? The day was long." That was a turn point, a small moment, easily dismissed, but now I see it for what it was, a door closing. He had already started to build a different life, a different conversation with someone else. The email wasn't just proof, it was a weapon. The sender, Sarah, hadn't just exposed his secret, she had chosen to involve me to make me a player in their sordid drama. The attached photo was a deliberate act of cruelty. She wanted me to feel what she felt, to see what she saw, to know what she knew. I felt a surge of rage so pure, so hot, it felt like fire in my veins. But beneath the anger, there was a deeper, colder realization. I had to choose my next move. I couldn't just confront him. Not yet. I needed to know the full story. I needed to understand the timeline, the lies, the depth of the betrayal. I thought about the little things. The new tie he bought, the one I had thought was a gift for me, but he'd said it was just for work. The way he started using a different brand of cologne, a subtle, musky scent that I now associated with her. My mind was a whirlwind of forgotten details, a crime scene I was piecing together in real time. The night he came home, the air was thick with unspoken words. He walked in, his usual cheerful mask in place. "Tough day," he said, and I watched him, my heart a lead weight. I saw the way he hung his jacket, the way he loosened his tie, the same tie he was wearing in the photo. He was a stranger in my home. He was a stranger to me. I had to play the part. I had to be the oblivious wife. "How was your meeting with Sarah?" I asked, my voice impossibly calm. He froze, his hand on his tie. His eyes darted at mine, a flicker of fear and guilt. "Oh, you know," he said, his voice a little too casual. "Just the usual business stuff." I nodded slowly, a ghost of a smile on my face. "I see." The conversation died there, but the silence was deafening. It was a conversation without words, a battle fought with glances and half-truths. The next few days were a blur of pretending. I was a spy in my own life, a detective uncovering the evidence of a crime committed against my heart. I checked his phone, a line I never thought I would cross. The messages were deleted, a clean slate, a testament to his careful deception. But a hidden folder, a digital ghost, held the real story. Photos of them laughing, of them on a beach, of them in a hotel room. They weren't just having an affair. They were building a parallel life. I felt a profound, bone-deep sadness. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the loss of a shared history. The memories we had, the life we had built felt tainted, a lie I had been living for years. The memory of our first date, the day we got married, the joy of holding Lily for the first time, all of it now felt like a carefully constructed fantasy, a house of cards waiting to collapse. But the anger was still there, a burning ember. I started to plan. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to throw plates. I was going to be calm, deliberate, and I was going to hurt him the way he had hurt me. Not with another affair, but with the cold, hard reality of what he had destroyed. I thought about his parents, who adored me. I thought about our friends, who looked up to our perfect marriage. I thought about Lily, the innocent victim in a war she didn't know was happening. I knew I had to tell him, but not with a desperate plea or a tearful accusation. It had to be a statement, a final, unarguable fact. I decided to wait for the right moment, the perfect stage. Our anniversary was a week away. It was a day we had always celebrated with a special dinner, a quiet night for just the two of us. It was the perfect stage for the final act of our tragedy. The night of our anniversary, he came home with flowers, a beautiful bouquet of my favorite lilies. The irony was a bitter taste in my mouth. I took them, my hands trembling slightly. "Happy anniversary," he said, his voice full of the old warmth, a ghost of the man I had married. "I made a reservation at that new Italian place you wanted to try." I smiled, a tight, thin line. "That sounds wonderful," I said, a lie so profound it felt like the truth. At the restaurant, we sat across from each other, the candlelight flickering between us. He talked about his day, about a big project at work, and I listened, a detached observer. I watched his face, the lines around his eyes, the way he smiled. I was studying a stranger, a man who had betrayed everything we had built. The memories of our first dates, our dreams for the future, felt like they belonged to another lifetime, to two different people. When the dessert arrived, a slice of rich chocolate cake, I knew it was time. I looked him in the eyes, my voice steady, calm, and deadly. "I know about Sarah," I said. The fork clattered from his hand, the sound a small explosion in the quiet restaurant. The color drained from his face, leaving him pale and hollow. He didn't deny it. He just stared at me, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and defeat. The confession wasn't necessary. The truth was written on his face. "I've known for a week," I continued, the words coming out slow and deliberate. "I know about the emails, the photos, the trips. I know about the life you were building with her." The air was thick with the weight of my words. He opened his mouth to speak, but no sound came out. "Don't," I said. A single tear finally escaped my eye. "Don't say anything. Don't lie again. Don't try to explain."